All right, welcome everybody to the 757 Lacrosse Hour. It's good to have everybody here with us. My name is Mark Hargrave. This is my partner, Scotty Holava, across from me. We are two old school lacrosse guys who have been in this area for a while, and we're really excited to get this podcast going. I'm just going to start off by introducing myself and then pass it off to Scott. My name is Mark Hargrave, born and raised in Bayville, Long Island, played at Locust Valley High School for 3 years and went on to play at Mount St. Mary's College in Maryland. I've lived in the area for 20 years and have coached for about 14, 15 of those years, anywhere from grade school kids to high school, and have a huge love and passion for the game. And I couldn't have picked a better partner to do this with than Scott Holava. So I'll let him introduce himself.
Hey, thanks a lot, Mark. Scott Holava here, known as Coach H, Coach Holava, from upstate New York, the better part of New York.
Oh, wow. Okay. We'll get into that.
But anyway, Liverpool High School, class of 85. West Jenny Wildcat drill. We all know that drill. Well, we played West Jenny twice a year, so that was fun. 2 years at Cortland State up there, Division III after high school, and then moved down to Virginia Beach, transferred down to Virginia Wesleyan College back then, and first year program, founding father of that, and been around here ever since. So living the dream, as I like to say.
That was the first year when you were there. First year
program, yes, sir. I was a player on the Old Dominion club team.
Wow,
that's another story in itself.
Yeah,
played Virginia Wesleyan in a scrimmage game before they were going to be a real team, and a fun game for me.
Yeah,
and Coach Reed in the handshake line, and Coach Stevenson can attest to this. Grabbed my hand and basically didn't let go and dragged me up to the side and said, "Who the heck are you? Where do you do it? And where are you from?" And next thing I know, I'm playing at Out West. So
it's amazing. It's amazing that there's endless stories of connections in lacrosse. One of them being Scott actually stole my college coach, Tom Gravani, who's one of the greatest players to ever play the game at Hope Park College, stole his girlfriend in high school.
Legendary
So
story.
every time I talk to Coach Gravani, I try to remind him of that. But that's what kind of game it is, and it's still that kind of game, although it's getting bigger, which is great. There's so many connections that you make through the cross. I would have never gotten involved here if I didn't meet Jess Stevenson, who's now the head coach at Cape Henry. He pulled me over in a parking lot. I was working as a pharmaceutical rep, and he said, "Hey, you got to play club." And I said, "Okay." I actually hadn't touched the stick competitively since I played at Mount St. Mary's. 4 years of college is a lot, although I loved it. I'd put the stick down for a couple of years and then picked it up here and met Scott and a bunch of other characters who were great guys down here. And that's how I also got into coaching. As Scott and I said, this area is, we both have a history here, and it's a rich history of lacrosse. It's been one that's had its ups and downs, I think, for a long time. I think it's good for us to just sort of get a feel of what the state of lacrosse is around here. We were lucky enough last year to get it finally in the public schools. Scott can speak more to that. That was a long, arduous journey to get it into the public schools, but thank God it's in now. And, got a couple teams that certainly can compete in the state and others that are, moving themselves along. But, it's been in private schools for a long time. Norfolk Academy has been the pillar of lacrosse around here. Fantastic program that Tom Duquette ran for years. And now, Ryan Tucker has taken over. And then, schools like Catholic High School and Cape Henry are in the mix as well now with great programs.
Coach Duquette and Coach Duffy, definitely a couple of my mentors for sure.
Absolutely.
As a player, I met Coach Duquette back then when I was a younger dude, and then is growing up and coaching, and for sure as a coach, he's helped me tremendously out there. And Coach Duffy as well. We back to the early days around here, we had the youth league. Yeah, we became parents, and then we had kids, and our kids start playing, and we're been coaching the youth leagues, HR Lax back in the day, and we were just wherever. I lived in 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 zip code, and been coaching over here all these kids for a long time now.
Yeah,
and it's been great to see the progress. And I was a former coach at Bishop Sullivan back then before they renamed to Catholic, so helping that program, seeing that program grow to what the guys are doing now over there, Mark and Tommy Lewis,
Yeah.
Coach Smitty and, all those guys are really, really doing great. They're just taking that thing and gone with it. But,
Yeah.
in public school now that we do have it, how do we take that and keep it going and do the same thing and help these guys grow?
No question. Well, you hit on something that you just said there that I think is the key that we've been lacking in the last 7 or 8 years around here. And that's really, really great youth coaches. I think one of the issues that we're going to have in public schools, not that it can't change, it will change. One of the issues that we're going to have is who can teach really great basic fundamentals of this game. Because you and I both know if that's not there, you will not progress. Certainly, you have to have the interest of the kids, but you have to have great fundamental coaches in the lower grades to get the varsity teams where they need to be.
Look at the camera here in this one, players. If you cannot catch and throw the ball, you cannot play lacrosse.
That is absolutely right. We have the athletes.
Sorry, that's the facts.
Yeah.
So if you want to research Steph Curry and maybe Kobe Bryant and look at their daily repertoire of the reps that they would do to get better, that's what you got to be doing.
Absolutely. And look, there's a couple of different variables to lacrosse. My point is we're in basketball, right? You can pick up a basketball, go get 4, 5, 6, 7 guys, right, and go play 4-on-4. It's a little bit different with lacrosse. You need the equipments, you need the nets, you need the fields. So hopefully that part will change too, where we'll be able to pump some more money into the game. So it's certainly not as easy as a football or a baseball, even, or basketball. But I think if the time is spent on the fundamentals, on getting good coaches here, we have the athletes. There's an abundance of athletes here.
You hit on something and just made me think of it. As far as you said, the equipment, the cost, and how hard it is to just pick up and play. What about our 3-by? We got to go.
It's the best. Okay. Yeah, absolutely. That's a great point.
Incredible. Okay, that's it's basically a 3-on-3 with a tennis ball and small little goals. No equipment, no nothing. One kid jumps in the goal, so it's really a 3-on-2, and it's up and down a little tennis court, basically. And I think it's one of the greatest things, especially for IQ.
Yeah, no, Mikey Thompson and Joe Thompson really brought that.
Are playing with you out there. It's really fantastic.
Yeah, those guys brought that up a few years back, and I didn't know what it was. I've been around lacrosse since 3rd grade, but I didn't realize what they were doing when they talked about it about 4 or 5 years ago.
It's like playing pickup hoops, right?
Pickup lacrosse. How are we going to do that with just sticks? But I didn't realize it was a tennis ball and 3-by goals, and what a great way for kids to get interested in the game who have never played. And that's certainly a great idea to bring that to maybe certain areas where you wouldn't play 3-by, just go to some random school court and start that. I think all of these things are great ideas. I think they just need to be implemented. And then again, you need to have guys. There's nuances in lacrosse with rules and how to play the game correctly, where I think, God bless all the dads out there that volunteer coach. I did it, believe it or not, with soccer, which I never played when Owen was tiny. My son Owen is 17 now. I did it when he was little, but you need dads that play the game of lacrosse, I think, in order to progress it to where we want it to get. So hopefully it gets there. I think it really will. I just worry about this area getting itself together, which you could probably speak about even much better than I can. I've been here 20 years, involved for 15. It seemed like, and tell me if I'm wrong, Scott, it seems like 15 years ago we were almost in a better spot organizationally with lacrosse around here. I don't know if you agree with that.
Better. It's tough to say those kind of words. It's different. That's for sure.
Right.
I feel like I call them maybe the competing factions. We have more things now to choose from. So maybe it's watered down a little bit based on the number of players and people we have. The people mainly, maybe the coaches, Mark speaking of. And again, maybe when the kids are younger and they're starting out, we maybe think it's okay, but I think it's probably the most important time is to actually have a real coach when the kids are starting out to teach them how to do it the right way.
Yes. Yes. If you and I see it too much in high school, and again, not knocking any kid that goes out for sport and gives their all and is there every day, I truly have a lot of admiration, and that will stick with them for the rest of their life, that hard work. But you do see kids who play in high school who, unfortunately, some of them, not all of them, but some of them have played since 3rd or 4th grade. they get to high school and their basic fundamental stick skills are not good. And you go, how did that happen? And a lot of it is exactly what you just said, is not teaching the right stuff when they're little. They create bad habits.
I get it. We all have certain aptitudes we'll be able to get to in whatever endeavors we go for in life. But again, to me, it's obvious when a kid gets to that level in high school and he doesn't have the stick skills still. It just means he doesn't pick up his stick every day.
That's
it
a great
really
point.
does. It really
Yeah.
is as simple as that. It's not some magic science to getting good at stuff.
Well, so there's another great point too. So I think that is maybe the second thing that I would love to see flourish in this area is really a passion, a culture for the game, a culture for the game of lacrosse. I think Richmond has done an unbelievable job in public and private. You're always the private school kids, unfortunately or fortunately, you're going to have kids who feel that they have to go to certain schools in order to get a better product or a better experience. You and I both know in upstate New York and Long Island, you do not have to do that. But in the southern states, it's been more of a private school sport. I would love to see the passion come from everywhere. And I just don't think we've created a lacrosse culture here yet, where it's
Yeah.
this is what I need to do. I want to play lacrosse. I may play football or basketball, but when lacrosse comes, I'm locked into that as well.
One of the challenges maybe to that end is that where we grew up, soccer was a fall sport. We have the competition for fields and stuff in
Absolutely.
the spring with soccer teams. So we have that going on. But yeah, when I grew up, I played football, and then I played hockey, and then I played lacrosse.
Sure.
My football coach freshman year in high school was the varsity lacrosse coach, and
Same.
he said at the end of football season, he said, if you're not a baseball player, I expect to see you on lacrosse. And I said, what the heck is lacrosse? And I grew up in Syracuse, for crying out loud.
Right.
So, yeah,
Yeah.
picked up the stick and here we are today. Never looked back. But Mark, to your point about the local our culture and trying to grow this thing, I think that we've coached. We're not coaching now, so I've played, I've coached. I mean, the only thing I haven't done is ref, and I kind of have refed a little bit, but how can I still be part of the game? And here we are with headsets on our heads.
Yeah.
I could see this as us being the glue guys for this area.
I think it's great. I think it's great. The kids will also have something. We're gonna cover lacrosse from public to private, of course, on this podcast, and we want the kids to listen. And we're gonna say your names. We're gonna highlight you when you have a good game, no matter what school you go to. Another thing, and again, I'll knock myself. Right, I was the head coach at Catholic High School. My son is a sophomore player there, and so I'm sort of being hypocritical, but I would love to see it not just be NA Catholic, and certainly Cape Henry has an amazing history too. Not taken away from those guys. It has to be more than Norfolk Academy, Catholic High, and Cape Henry being good, or we're just going to be stuck in the same position we were 20 years ago. As much as my bias towards my son's team doing well, right, and I have a bunch of kids on NA that I've coached who I love dearly, and same thing with Cape. If I don't want everywhere to get great, Scott's son's at Kellam High School. I love Mikey. If we don't want these kids to get great, there's no even use in doing this podcast or talking about it, because it's just going to be that same sort of glass ceiling that it's been. And again, that's not knocking anybody that's come before us at all. I don't think anyone that I know at any of those schools have intentionally held public schools down or any kid down. Not at all. But something needs to change in order for it to grow. So hopefully this is a start. I agree with you. Start of something.
Hey, yeah, Mark, this is only year 2 of VHSL lacrosse here in public school. So, Green Run, Salem, Tallwood, you guys are talking to you guys. We want you guys to get better. Faster,
absolutely
faster.
No question. I growing up on Long Island, New York, there's tons of teams that are, to be just very blunt about it, that are very blue collar towns. Levittown Division, Freeport, Hempstead, where Method Man played kids, by the way. I know some of your Wu-Tang fans, hopefully your Wu-Tang fans. Method Man was a midfielder. He was a great midfielder. Amos Zaraway, who's a
that's a throwback name.
High school as a player. There's plenty of kids in all walks of life on Long Island. Wyandanch, Babylon, these towns that are not blue blood towns, that are not bedroom communities for New York City, where mom and dad are, making hundreds of thousands of dollars. Same thing with upstate New York. There's great teams everywhere that are blue collar players. So The idea that this is a rich white sport is not true anymore. And it's
Oh, I hate that one.
I
I hate
can't
that
stand
one.
it.
There was no richness in my family growing up. So
No,
yeah,
this is a sport for
I had
everybody.
the same stick for as long as we could. Remember Brian used to, you cracked your head, you could send it back to the company and he would send you a brand new one
Oof.
and replace it. You had an endless head. It was
Yep.
amazing back then. The
Mm.
good days.
Yeah, when the equipment was
Yeah.
tough to play with kids.
Mhm.
By the way, your sticks are phenomenal. Now, I
Same
will say
stuff.
these kids are better athletes than we were. It's funny. I took my
I
son to
disagree with that
watch.
wholeheartedly. I'm a 57-year-old physical specimen. Look at
Well,
me.
just look at me on camera. You can see I probably am not the man I
Unbelievable.
used to
These
be
kids
at
need to pick up
22.
weights. Parents, players, pick up the weights.
Yes.
Ride your bike
Yes.
around the block
You
like
can't. Well,
4 or 5 times, like, and try and go as fast as you can.
okay, but now you're making my point here.
How about a
See,
jump
so I'm going to
rope?
push back on you because you're absolutely right, by the way. So when we played in college, Scott was a much better player. I was a role player in college, but I played Division I college lacrosse. Mount St. Mary's was okay. Scott was a great player in college. We didn't lift weights. I mean, that even at the Mount, Tom
I
Gravani was.
lifted weights.
You didn't lift weights like these guys lift weights
Okay,
now.
I didn't lift like 400 pounds of weights.
Well, I probably lifted combined 400 pounds in my
I
life.
wore my 5-pound ankle weights around school all day. And then when I took them off for game day,
Now we
I
used to do
biggest
stuff
feat
like
in the
that. We used to
history of
jump
feet.
rope, but these
Kyle
kids.
Mahar, I'm talking to you, buddy.
Well, but now these kids are way more, which is good. They're way more specialized in this stuff now. They're doing off-season training. They're doing specialized weight training in season in college, Division I, II, or III. It doesn't matter. I think that you're absolutely right. They have to get into the weights where we were probably more three-sport athletes. You just went one sport to another. These guys are bigger, stronger, faster. I was saying I took my son to a Mount St. Mary's game. They played Richmond. Richmond had beat Notre Dame, who was, I think, at that time number 5, right? And played Mount St. Mary's, who was absolutely unranked. Mount St. Mary's beat them in overtime. We got in the car, and my son was probably 12. He's 17, and he looks at me sheepishly, and he said, "Dad, did you actually play at Mount St. Mary's?" I said, "I did, you little twerp. I played the last 2 years starting midfield, which was offense only, but we can get into another time." But my point is these guys, I said to my wife when I got home, I wouldn't have stepped on the field now with these guys. They're so much better than we were. Now, we had good fundamental players, and again, our equipment wasn't as good, but these kids are bigger, stronger, faster, and that's the kids we need down here, kids
In my
against
point,
you guys
though,
playing the
it's
game.
not about the trainer. It's not about the weight room you have. It's not about any of that. It's about you actually doing the action
Yes,
every day. I don't care if you're picking up 2.5 pounds a day and jumping rope. Okay?
that's right.
Do something, okay? Because it will build on itself. Okay, it always will. It doesn't take much. Again, the rich white boy sport over here, there was no richness. I had one stick and I had a ball and I went to the wall. And honestly, for my mental health back as a young guy, that was probably the best thing I could do. Because I went on that
Amen.
wall with my ball and I was shooting and breaking stuff and getting all my angst out on there. Little did I realize I was developing superpowers for later in life.
No question. We remember the steel cages. Yep. My friend Pete Slasky and I used to go up to Fayetteville
Rattling sound, I
Intermediate
can still hear it.
with that's 2 sticks and a ball and our equipment and go one-on-one for 3 hours. No phones, no nothing. It was healing. And I always try to really inflict on the kids that I'm coaching is this: the sport's great, the games are great. We try to win every game that we can. Sure, we want to be competitive. Absolutely. Again, parents, let your kids be competitive, for crying out loud. But what this teaches you in life is life lessons are far beyond any win or loss. And again, it's not taking away from the wins and losses and saying it's okay to go out there and lose. But what this game has
We don't
taught,
practice to lose.
yeah, that's right. That's right. But what the game has taught me is far beyond anything that has to do with a win or a loss. You remember the big wins and you remember some of the losses, but it truly taught me integrity, hard work, and just to never give up. And I know you're that kind of guy too, Scott. So for these kids to have good role models and good mentors, I will say, and again, I'll be a little controversial here, from what I see in youth sports, not all the time, but sometimes with some of the other sports that don't even have to be mentioned, the win, 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 win. You got to go here. You got to go there. You got to go to this team because I want to get a scholarship so I can play pro football or pro basketball. I'm going to steal from my partner here. I've said this to probably 300 people in this area. I said, Scott Holava told me a long time ago, that's what I love about lacrosse. There's no pot at the end of the rainbow. And I say that to everybody, and I always make sure I give Scotty credit. But it's true. That was the best part of the game to me. That's the best thing still.
They're slowly. We got our PLL now, so it's there.
A lot of those guys have
Purists.
other jobs still, but no, it was that always stuck with me when you said that, and I think it makes lacrosse even that more special. As there's no, well, there is lunacy, but there's not as much lunacy as some of the other sports. Of I have to do this so I can go to Alabama and become a pro football player. There's other components to it that make it for me such a special game.
I agree. Just the lessons that I've taken from sports in general, back to the parents. I mean, get your kids in sports.
Yes.
Put everything in your garage and let them pick whatever they want to pick in season, fall, winter, spring. Get them out there. But the lessons I've learned through one as a player, but I use now as a software engineer in my life. It's the same. I got to do the reps.
Right.
I got to learn. I got to learn it. I got to embrace. I like to say, it sounds harsh again, parents. Embrace my suckiness when I'm new
all the time.
I got to be willing to be the fool and not knowing anything, not having all the answers, not having to figure it out, and just going for it. And that's what we want. That's what we want in our players for sure, especially the new kids, because it's hard to play lacrosse.
It is hard. It is hard. It's one of those games where you can get, if you don't understand the nuances, you can get incredibly frustrated playing with players who know them. This goes back to what's going on in the public school, and honestly, even some in the private school leagues too, where the separation between good and new is so much now, right now, that it may be very hard for some of these newer programs to say, hey, we're going to stick with this. We're going to see it out, and it's going to get better. It's really hard right now for some of these schools to go, hey, you know what? I can see 10 years down the road, we're going to improve. So for those kids at those new programs playing right now, guys, stick with it and do your best. And like Scott said, it's such a great thing. Pick your stick up, and love it. Love picking your stick up, going to a wall.
Recruit your friends.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's more fun with your buddies out there.
So I'll tell another story, and it's not the name drop at all, but it was telling to me. So again, went to watch Mount St. Mary's. God, this was 10 years ago. They played Virginia at Virginia. My college coach was still there up until this year. Tom Gravani was there for almost 30 years. So
wow, 30.
Yeah, 29. He was.
I am old, aren't I?
He was the youngest. I think the youngest head coach in Division I at that time in the fall of '96 when I got there. But we went to watch the Mount play UVA, and I was waiting in the locker room for him to come out, and Dom Starzia came out, and just introduced myself and told him I was a Long Island guy. Coach Starzia is a Valley Stream guy, and he said, well, what are you doing now? I said, I live down in Virginia Beach now. I'm coaching, and this is my son, and Owen was tiny, and my wife. And he said, I'll tell you what. He said, if Virginia Beach, that area, got its act together, I wouldn't have to recruit from any other area. He said, your athletes down there are incredible. And that was another thing that really stuck with me. He said, man, you guys got such unbelievable athletes. I wouldn't have to go far. And
we got a great location, great weather.
Yeah.
Obviously, our basketball and football players who come out of this area are remarkable. And I didn't even mention the baseball guys.
Oh gosh, yeah. Well, that's the thing. Like, and I know we've all talked about this in the past. This is not some revelation here that Scott and I are coming up with. Like, what do we need to do in order to make that happen for lacrosse? Because it can. And again, I one of the answers I think I have is to make sure in the youth programs to start it. With good coaches and youth. You said something before too. You were like, anybody in 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Those are my guys. That's what we need to start to go back to now around here, right? Every high public school needs to get those good youth coaches.
Well, how do you do that though? I mean, if someone doesn't live there, it has worked out for me.
Yeah.
And I'm not the only one. There's been a few of us over there. So
sure,
through the years, I mean, what holds Jake? 24 years old. So again, we've been doing it for a while, and it's
by the way, his son Jake. So we hosted an alumni game last year at Catholic High School. I got to drop this in. Thank God I didn't play. I was coaching. His son Jake played at Merrimack College, Division I school up in Massachusetts, and came out on that field. How old is Jake now? 25?
Yeah.
And was the best player on the field too. And I went to Tommy Lewis, who's the head coach at Catholic, and I said, I'm pretty sure Jake could still play Division I lacrosse right now. And he said, yeah, he could. It was just fun to watch that. He's still in good shape. I didn't dare suit up.
All right, Jake, you're almost 25, May 5th.
Almost 25. Okay, yeah. But yeah, I used to get out there once a year with the kids and played a little summer league this year. But Jake still looks like he could play Division I lacrosse. I think some of the kids look at me when I suit up and go, "You played lacrosse?" That's all right.
Well, they thought you were a model because you're so handsome. That's why.
Well, thank you. I got the Hollywood head, as my wife says.
All right.
Yeah.
There you go. You got that going for you, which is nice.
Yeah. But, even to talk a little bit about teams, because, again, this is what we're going to start doing now is we're going to transition away from our history and the lacrosse history to what you kids and you guys are doing out there and you coaches. And we're about halfway. It's weird. Public school starts so much later. Catholic high and
like 2 weeks behind. You guys are slow. Yeah.
God, you're right. It seemed even more, but I mean, NA, Catholic, Cape, those guys are halfway through the season.
They got about game 5, game 7. The teams are about game 5 or game 7, I think, for the Publics. Depending on some of the newer teams, they can schedule 16 total games.
Right. 12
conference games. So
correct.
A lot of the teams don't schedule an extra 4. They have not. So they only have a 12-game schedule.
Right. Okay.
Like PA, for example, has only got 12.
Right.
So
sure.
Elm's got 16. Cox got 16. Some of those guys, the upper parts of the VHSL, those teams are fully scheduled out.
Right. Right.
They can carry 30 players in 16 games.
And it's similar for the private. I mean, you schedule about 15, 16. I believe in God. I should know this. I'm not far removed. I think you have to play, if you're a Division I or Division II Visa, you have to play 10 teams or 11 teams within that Division I to qualify for the state tournament. So maybe you play 16. Again, you do 12 and then 4 out of conference. I can speak for the private schools. I still, public guys, I'm following you too. But for the private schools, around here, it's the same old story for the past few years, NA and Catholic.
How many games can you schedule in private?
So
it's a lot more. I can go 20, can I? I think we were doing like 20 back then.
20 last year, and we went up to Long Island and played, which was wonderful for the
those
guys.
kind of trips.
Yes, went up to Long Island, played those guys, which was great, and then had a couple other out of state teams. Catholic High had Bergen Catholic from New Jersey down here, who plays in a very difficult private school league up in northern New Jersey, and that was eye-opening for them. I know Ryan Tucker does a great job at NA of scheduling tough games. I watched that game against Gilman that NA played, and Gilman, of course, is and Coach Tucker. He's an alumni there, and they're an incredible team. I think nationally ranked. But I'll tell you what, NA, I was proud of those guys. They made that Gilman team earn every goal, and I don't say that facetiously at all. They made those guys work. NA is a very athletic team. They have good, skilled players who played for a long, long time. They got Coach Tucker, who's a fantastic coach. Coach Duffy, which is actually his last year, he announced his retirement. Coach Gibby, those guys are in great hands over there. And then certainly Catholic High again competing. Tommy Lewis is a fantastic coach. I think Zach Cazada, in my personal opinion, I think he is, I'm going to say, one of the best D coordinators in the state.
Agreed.
I think he is does a fantastic job with those guys. And then Jackson Deal, who played at CNU's over there. Those guys that's going to be, I think, another marquee matchup this year. You got 2 really strong teams with strong players who've played the game for a while. I think NA is athletically probably better right now than Catholic, but Catholic's got smart guys who understand the game.
And back to how can we help the area?
Yeah.
Right. As a Marlin alum, right, I'm trying to get the young bucks that are graduates coming out of the lacrosse team that live here,
sure,
to help coach.
Absolutely. Great point.
Harlan Manger's over there coaching at Kellum now, first year coach.
Yeah.
We're mentoring him up, but that kid could still play. He could show the kids exactly what it looks like at the college level, which
super important,
which is priceless. So,
I hope that those guys that are playing now at some of the programs, Princess Anne,
like Jackson, Deal, that's what I mean. Those guys.
You guys play now, learn this game great, and then come back and coach young kids. If you're living in this area, give your time back to those younger guys, teach them the right way to play. Because like Scott said, unfortunately, it's just a game of life, right? There's just not enough guys right now out there. There's a lot of guys around here who played and who were darn good, but There's not enough guys that are able or willing to give their time to really get into those youth leagues. I know something, and this is our first announcement on this podcast, is I know Scott and I and Jess Stevenson, who's the head coach at Cape Henry. I've talked to Coach Tucker a little bit about it. A couple other guys about doing free clinics. We can go wherever. It doesn't have to be. It's not a recruiting tool for any of our schools. It can be agnostic. We can do it wherever we want to do some free clinics for kids this summer. I'm more than willing to go out there and give my time to teach the game the right way and get this thing going, because then we wouldn't have to travel around so far to get other, good games for teams like Bergen Catholic or Severn or Gilman to have to come in here and play. We could do it on our own and make those private school matchups really good ones.
Yeah. In addition to the youth as well, we could we have ideas on how can we help the high schools, the new high schools, or we can help the coaches by having a coaches clinic and showing them the stuff that we found success with our teams that we've done, stuff like that.
Would you agree that's hard sometimes from adult to adult, although we all have jobs? I'm an independent medical device distributor, but there's a lot of times when, you work with surgeons, you work with guys and companies you represent that, they got to have a hard talk of, this is how you got to sell this. And this is exactly what you need to do. Sometimes from coach to coach, we all have egos. It's hard for a guy to say, hey, I think you need to be teaching this, this way, instead of saying you're doing it wrong, just saying, hey, I think maybe this way would be a little bit better. So
you come in with ideas. That's all. It's not a right or wrong thing.
That's correct.
There's some things that I found success with, like them or not, but maybe it'll help you, maybe it won't help you,
Yeah.
The ego though. Yeah.
It's hard.
It's a real thing for sure.
Yeah. It's hard.
We all have them.
But again, even without saying you're doing it wrong, to say, hey, we want to have a coach's clinic to get this better. Some guys may take offense. I think the guys around here would be pretty open to it. I would hope they would. But there's a lot of great guys around here, a lot of great lacrosse guys. And I'm hoping we can all come together collectively. I think another great idea Scott had, and again, kids, we're trying to get this together here at the Sportsplex, but is have a senior all-star game where everybody participates, obviously.
Let's go.
Yeah, it's not going to just be, it's kids from every team participate in that all-star game. What a fun thing to do, either east, west, or north, south. Have that where we get everybody to compete on the field and look, you guys are hopefully a lot of you guys stick around the area and raise families, and you'll get to know each other and may coach with each other or be friends for the rest of your life. And that's what the game of lacrosse brings. So I think that would be fun.
Man, the friendship right there alone. Just as a 57-year-old guy, it's amazing.
Yes.
See my group text. I won't show you, but there's a dozen on my high school and a dozen on my college. It's amazing. So
yes.
Yeah.
Awesome. How's the public schools? What's it looking like this year? Who are the top teams that you're seeing in our area?
Well, man, it's surprising because you don't know yet, really, and it's only year 2. So the typical Cox and Kellum are up at the top. I would say, surprisingly, I would give probably PA.
Yeah,
could be a little sleeper. I would say I'm gonna call them a sleeper. I've watched them a couple times. So
yeah.
Again, Coach Stevenson, former Princess Anne coach, now at Cape Henry, but he left that team in a good shape. So
yes, he did.
Yes, he did. Shape. Kids can play well.
Yes.
They know how to play. So again, I think they could surprise people for sure.
I watched them play over the summer in the FCA Summer League, and there was a couple guys. I'm like, who is that? Mm-hmm. That kid can play. Yeah, he goes to PA. I went, wow, that's awesome. That's what you want to see. Is you want to see kids that are coming from these schools, again, that are not traditionally rich lacrosse programs become that. And I think it's also great. Something, again, that I don't want to come across as a negative guy, but I think the last few years we have had less kids collectively. I'm not talking about Catholic High or NA. Less kids collectively go play in college. I think this year it's good. It seems like we got more kids going off to play in college. Not that that's the end all be all, but for our area to get recognized by these college coaches, Scott and I both know them. I still talk to my college coach all the time and a bunch of other guys. You have to start getting kids to programs. You got to start saying that kid's from Virginia Beach, just so it it becomes in their mind. It's not strange to see a guy on the roster from Hampton Roads.
That being said, I'm going to have to give Luke Holava a little shout out here. His third goal of the season last night for Merchant Marine Academy.
Merchant Marine Academy. Hell yeah. And Alex Floaton. Axel Floaton, who's one of my former players. God, forgive me, Axel. I just had a goal the other day too, but he told me they're – see, again, what a great story, right? Two kids from the same area. I coach one, Scott coached the other, and now they're together playing in college. It's fantastic, right?
And again, I mean, it's not. Does it help kids to play for us? Yeah, because we have a lacrosse connection. So for sure. How did my oldest kid go to Merrimack? You know, because of Coach Hargrave over here. You know, so.
And if you can play for Mike Morgan, God bless you. Noah Smith, Nutty Smith, Goliad Catholic, going up there next year. Mike's one of the greatest guys in the world, but he's tough. Long Island guy.
Up there
he's
now,
the best.
Right? Local guy.
Yeah.
Cox player.
Absolutely. Yeah. So if you can go play for Coach Morgan, that's going to be good things in your life.
That happens.
Yep. And NA too. I'm proud of NA. NA's got a bunch of guys going to play next year, which is great. You know, they have.
Where's Schonefeld? Where's he? He's going to Denver.
Luke's going to Denver. Yep. That's a great thing for this area. I believe Chesson's going to play at Ham Sydney.
Yep.
And gosh, who is the defensive mini who's real good there too? His dad's the athletic director. He's a heck of a player. He's probably the best defensive midi, I think, in this area by far.
What's his I forget his name.
His brother played at High Point.
Probably have to get my
I know we got to get our rosters.
Get my cheat sheets going here as we get this going forward. But
but he is a fantastic Accra. Lee Accra.
I forget Eric. I'm sorry, buddy.
Yeah, sorry, Eric. Lee Accra. Lee is a fantastic defensive midi and a good player overall, but he's going to go play there as well. Zach Wood, who's one of my players, is committed to Navy.
Back to our little kid picture. He's in that one.
Now, again, Coach Duff, not taking anything away from your Coach Tucker. He's just, we love Zach and played for a while. That Navy commit is a huge thing for this area.
Oh, cool.
Yep, it's awesome. And, of course, our boy JC Chandler going to play at Belmont Abbey College with his old teammates, Thomas Lewis and Lorenzo.
Yeah.
So that's great. And, again, public school guys, tell us if you're going to play, let us know. We'll find out too. We're going to call your coaches, but let us know because we want to recognize you guys as well. It's just as important as anybody else going to play anywhere.
Yeah, football kids, basketball kids, we're not going to make you worse at those sports. I promise you. Playing lacrosse will make you better at those. Promise.
You'll like it better.
Mm-hmm. You might. That's what happened to me. I ended up sticking in lacrosse. I mean, well, you young guys don't know who Wes Welker is in the NFL, but I wasn't him in football. So, yeah.
Yep. Well, look, again, I look forward to doing this. I think it's going to turn out to be a great lacrosse season. Again, I think we have some really, really good head-to-head matchups coming up in the next couple of weeks.
Oh, yeah.
It'll be very telling not only for this area, but also for state rankings.
Mm-hmm.
And these teams are coming into playoffs in the next couple of weeks, of course, at Catholic and NA that are going to be tough. And certainly the public school matchups, again, are going to be rolling and rocking. So I
just looked at the state ranks today. The public schools, you have to have a minimum game before they start showing you. So the public schools just finally caught up. And in math preps I looked at today, and the Coxes, the Kellums, PA, they're all top 50.
And I'll tell you again, public school guys, go look at Atlee High School in Richmond.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, they, in my opinion, they're the best team in the state last year. Okay, and they've done an enormous job, those coaches.
I want to say they're number one right now.
At building that program. They are fantastic again this year, and that could be you guys, coaches, players. That could be you. Just stick with it. Coach H, what else you got? Anything else? We're gonna sign off on this one.
Yeah, we sign off, I guess, for the first one. We'll have our list next week. And,
absolutely.
Talk about our shows for
kids.
We're
going to start throwing your names out next week. I promise. Mm-hmm. You're going to start getting in here. So we got a great crew that's teaching us how to do all this. Absolutely,
so, it's fun for
they
Coach
put a lot of filters on my face. So,
hey guys, listen. Just like we ask the players that you step out of your comfort zones, and here's two former coaches sitting here with a headset on,
absolutely,
talking about lacrosse, doing something different too. So
practice hard, guys. Practice hard and practice. You're going to play like you practice. So practice hard and have fun. Please enjoy this thing. It's not life or death. enjoy it. It's fun.
Yeah. So Matt, how do we promote our website?
Oh yeah.
We just plug it at the end. We have it on a ticker. Yeah. So guys, we got a website going here too, but it's the premise of it was to help people learn how to play. So the focus is on that. It's how to play lacrosse. So we want to use that to hopefully help everybody. Drill ideas, training ideas, from physical stuff to mindset, all of it and everything in between.
Yeah.
For coaches, players, parents, something about college, if something that you want to pursue.
Sure.
That, but and we're open for ideas on that as well, guys. So we hope it becomes a tool that can help everybody and be something that we can use. So
yeah, absolutely. All right, guys.
Yeah.
Well, we'll check in with you next week, and again, play hard and have fun. Have a blast.
Sounds good, guys. Make it a great day.